Welcome to the Security Speakeasy show, where we talk all things network security. My name is Mohit, and I'm on the marketing team at Pulse Networks. Joining me today is Tapan Mehta, who has over 20 years of extensive knowledge when it comes to healthcare industry.
Thank you, Mohit. Thank you for having me on the show. Super excited to talk about healthcare.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. I know that there's been over 2,100 healthcare data breaches in the past few years, and hospitals account for approximately 30% of the largest data breaches across all industries. So this is like a major risk when it comes to healthcare organizations. And I wanted to just get a brief understanding of what key industry trends do you see around healthcare organizations today?
Yeah, healthcare is, as we all know, during this pandemic, is in spotlight, is in the front lines with the COVID situation that continues to hit us on all facets of our society. And looking at healthcare holistically, I would say there are 4 or 5 key trends that are really shaping the industry. First and foremost, healthcare is no different than other industries where digital transformation continues to, take its shape, its footing, and if anything, it is being fast-tracked during the course of this pandemic. And if you look at specifically from the context of, hybrid work, which is something has impacted multiple folks, including ourselves. Healthcare is in the same boat where the care providers, the clinicians, the nurses, the IT organizations have to find a way to, continue to provide the delivery of care. So that's one big thing that is impacting the ability of the delivery of care. Patient experience is another big example, which is top of the mind for healthcare organizations. Everything to do from telehealth services, which has become the norm, if you may, during this last 15, 18 months, ability to provide the virtual care, ability to integrate different types of devices, whether they're IT devices or clinical devices, ability to monitor patients, not only in an acute care setting, but also in outpatient setting and extending that to a home healthcare setting. Mm-hmm. I would say third area is really around compliance. Now, healthcare is a very regulated industry. HIPAA, GDPR, around patient privacy, data security is a big focus on that in this industry. And I would say the other important element is around how do you personalize the care? The notion of personalized medicine, personalized care has been around for quite some time, but it is really coming into spotlight with the emergence of COVID, where different demographics are being impacted in different ways. And this is where different technologies such as AI or ML is very critical as it relates to population health management. So I think the most important thing that we are seeing in the industry is the innovation. All these things were already on the roadmap for healthcare organizations. What COVID has really done has fast-tracked the importance of delivering this in a much shorter, compressed time frame.
Mm-hmm. And something you mentioned about like personalized care, that's really important as well, because every individual is different, and the organization has to provide like the right amount of care for that individual. It's very prescriptive, and we all know that because in healthcare you're dealing with critical data as well as sensitive data, that there is a lot of compliance around there. And I think that's why it's one of the most targeted industries as well. And I wanted to hear from you around like, is this still the case in 2021? Like, why is healthcare industries being targeted so heavily from cybersecurity bad actors or malicious events?
Yeah, unfortunately, healthcare continues to be the number one sector that is hit by ransomware. Not that healthcare organizations didn't have enough, given the pandemic that they have to deal with. The nation states, individuals are hitting these healthcare organizations, and for a few key reasons. First and foremost, it is data. And you can say data is king or queen, and healthcare is one of those industries where everything is centered around data. And that data sits in the EMRs, right? So if these individuals get access to that data, they're not only getting access to the private medical records, but they're getting access to financial data as well. So when you look at the value of that data on the black market, it is 10x more than one would get by just simply targeting a banking account for us as individuals. Yeah. The second thing that is very critical in this space is the ability or the probability of healthcare organizations, giving in to the needs of these nation states or individuals. And the reason being is if you don't have access to critical clinical applications, everything comes to a grinding halt. And you're talking about life and death situations where the doctors are not able to deliver care, where they have to, in fact, divert patients to different facilities, given the importance of surgeries that they may have to go through. So the propensity of organizations, healthcare organizations, to pay in is higher. And these individuals and organizations know that. And that's another reason that they want to hit the healthcare organizations, because they know that they will succumb to their needs. And it is tragic on all fronts, because here they're trying to, really get us, out of this pandemic. And not only they are tapped out in providing this care, on top of that, they now have to really try to, deal with these crises that these, organizations and individuals try to inflict on them. So it's frankly travesty, if you ask me, and this is what we are living with, and it's not going to change given.
Definitely agree. Yeah. Healthcare is like a big part of our daily lives and really embedded into our communities. And it's kind of sad to hear that attackers are, taking advantage of this because this is so critical to our way of life, right? And obviously the pandemic has probably impacted this in even an exponential way, where it's made things worse or it's accelerated certain initiatives. And what are your thoughts on like the pandemic playing into the role of, how attackers are looking at healthcare organizations and how they're actually attacking some of these organizations?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't believe we are going to see any lull in this ongoing motion that has been set, right? And this is here to stay for foreseeable future. And the reality of the situation is this, us as an organization trying to do our part in helping customers navigate through this. Ransomware will continue to be, one of the many challenges that the healthcare organizations will run into. And in fact, this is something, as we talk with customers, it is one of the top 3 things that comes up today. Because if you had asked them 2-3 years ago, it was there, but it was back of the mind. And if anything, in the last 15 months, it has really bubbled up at a board of level director conversation, where they're not really grappling with, how to get in front of this. And no matter how many policies, best practices you put forward, there's always going to be some vulnerable ways where people might be able to get in. So it's our responsibility as partners with healthcare organizations to really help them navigate through this and really mitigate, the challenges that are going to be imposed on them. And that's something that we continue to do. And I mean, the other area is going to be, just finding ways to help them, continue with that delivery of care and making sure that the delivery of care, the patient outcomes, does not get impacted in any negative way. And that's the role that we have as a partner with healthcare customers to play in helping them on this journey. And that's something that we continue to do that in partnership with our customers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point, because there will be various attack vectors like ransomware, phishing attacks, and more. But what are some key initiatives that healthcare organizations are, focusing on to address some of these problems? Is there something that they're actually implementing today or trying to get to make the organization not only more secure, but make even the user experience for their customers better?
Yeah, there's several things that are in flight. I would say some of the top ones that we are hearing and seeing in the market are, for example, around zero trust architecture, right? You're really looking at holistically throughout the continuum of care, how to go about segmentation, how to go about context-based security, how to identify the right type of devices that they need to protect, whether they're clinical devices such as portable modalities, infusion pumps. And this is where the notion of IoT and medical device integration comes in. That's one big area I think that is very critical, and healthcare organizations are looking holistically. How do we secure not only the perimeter, but also the data center on the back end side? Another important area that we are seeing is around optimizing different operations, around automation, orchestration, which is something that is top of the mind in terms of how to go about securing on all different fronts. And SASE is another classic example that we are seeing healthcare customers embrace in this space. There's no more, a point-based approach. You can't have that, because if you look at a typical healthcare organization, they have hundreds of applications, and if you start protecting those applications or provisioning those applications with a point product-based approach, it's just a recipe for just extra headache and time sink. So the notion of looking holistically across the entire portfolio, across all these different technologies, is going to be critical. And cloud is another big one that is very important. Healthcare has historically lagged in cloud adoption, but in the last couple of years, they've really embraced. And you're going to have this hybrid multi-cloud environment where you're going to have certain applications running on-prem, certain applications running in the cloud. And how do you protect these applications with cloud native security is going to be another important area that we are seeing. So a lot of exciting things. As I mentioned earlier, innovation is being fast-tracked, right? So that's not going to stop. And we have tremendous opportunity over here to partner with our customers and really be with them throughout this journey as they continue to find ways to not only navigate through the pandemic and what are the new norm looks for us, but really look at the delivery of healthcare, which is the most important piece for these organizations, and driving positive outcomes for patients and for consumers like us.
Yeah, that's a good point. And something that you said resonated with me really well. Is like that point solution product. Like those don't work anymore, because like this organization is growing rapidly, right? And with their evolution of technology, whether it's in the cloud, whether it's with IoT devices, whether it's with trying to make sure that there's zero trust across the network, they have to like take a holistic approach, right? For 1 to hundreds of applications, for 1 to thousands of users. And something else that you said really resonated with me. It's all about making sure that their end users get the right care. And that's really important today as well, is because we want to make sure that our community is well taken care of, as well as everyone has access to the right care. Well, Tapan, I really appreciate you coming on today and walking me through some cybersecurity trends within healthcare, as well as some challenges that they're facing and some solutions that they're looking into. So everyone else, if you like today's episode, hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment, and visit paloaltonetworks.com. And check out the description for more information about today's topic, including links to our healthcare webpage and the reference blueprint that you can use. And stay tuned for our next episode.